شركاء وزارة التربية والتعليم مؤسسات عالمية، مؤسسات غير حكومية، ناس عندها رؤية وخبرة في التعليم في العالم كله، وهم اللي بيكونوا شركاء مهمين جدا علشان التحول الرقمي وتطوير التعليم اللي بيحصل دلوقتي في مصر يكون بناء على هذه الشراكات. شخصيات مهمة كتيرة جدا موجودة النهاردة، واحنا بنحاول يعني على قد ما نقدر ننقل لكم الصورة دي عشان تبقوا معانا جوه الحدث، مشاركين في الورشة بطريقة أو بأخرى، نعرف مصر كانت فين، دلوقتي هي فين، عايزة تروح على فين. خلونا دلوقتي نتكلم مع حد مهم جدا الحقيقة، وهو من اليونيسف، ماسك قطاع التعليم مش بس في مصر، لكن هو كان ليه كمان يعني خبرات متعددة في دول كتيرة بيروح فيها علشان تطوير تعليمهم، وبرضه الرقمنة فيها كمان والتحول الرقمي اللي بيحصل. خلينا نشوف من خبرته هو شايف ايه الوضع في مصر. خلينا نرحب بضيفنا العزيز مستر شيراز شقرا, Chief of Education in the UNICEF. أهلا بحضرتك.
Thank you very much for having me. Hello.
Let me start. How do you see Egypt and the status of education now in Egypt?
So Egypt is a huge country with a huge education system. And like many education systems around the world, I've had the privilege of being able to support many countries around the world. It has great aspects to it, and it has challenges. Some of the big challenges, and UNICEF has been very fortunate to be working with the Ministry of Education to help identify some of those big challenges. Some of those are around, have we got enough children in early years? So pre-primary, kindergarten education, we haven't. That means not all kids are ready for their primary school. Yes. A second are all children learning Arabic by the age of 10, 11, 12? Not enough are. That is the foundation for future learning. A big one is, do we have enough teachers, and are they well trained? And then the last is one that we're here talking at this major conference today, is around how can we make technology a truly transformative agenda for education.
Yes, from what I understood so far, is that the transformation to digital content and to digitalize the education is one way to maybe solve many or maybe all of these challenges. We're going to use it in parallel to the other curriculums and to the classes and schools, everything. The classic way and traditional way of education is still ongoing, but we're adding the digital transformation to it. What does the digital transformation give to the education?
We are at an incredible stage in the world right now. And I think there's two things we have to think about for young people. One is technology is genuinely changing all of our lives. But actually, in many ways, schools remain the same as they were 100 years ago. The second is that the future that children are going to face is very different to the future that you and I are living in. The jobs are going to change, the market is going to change, the role of technology will change. For these two reasons, we absolutely need to put technology at the heart of education. So it's not actually about having technology on the side of a traditional education system. It is genuinely about thinking about how technology is a transformative tool to every element of education, from the way that teachers learn so that it can be the best for kids, from the way that children engage with content on their phones, on tablets, online, from the way in which a teacher considers him or herself as a facilitator that enables young people to see the world of knowledge rather than the sole person with the knowledge as they may once have been in the past. So I would love to see us, and I know the government has this vision, to really put technology at the heart of transformation in many different ways.
Yes. How is the world doing with this? Is Egypt falling behind? Are there already many countries that have moved ahead in this road in digitalization or transforming to technology? Or we are on schedule maybe?
Yes, I think Egypt is doing very well. I think the challenges that Egypt faces are very similar to many other countries. So what has Egypt achieved? Egypt has achieved quite large-scale investment in technology within schools, technological content, and fairly advanced technological solutions to support education. But the challenges, like many other countries, are the ones that actually are related to the experience within the classroom. So what do we have? A situation is many teachers are teaching in classrooms of 50 or 60 kids sometimes. Teachers may not always be as trained in all the technological tools that they have available to them. Children may not be fully aware of their opportunities and may not have, from maybe their primary or preparatory education, be ready to take all the opportunities. So there are some of these more fundamental challenges that the Egypt education system needs to address. And so we need to bring these two things together.
Yes.
What is the potential of technology? And what do we need to address as the fundamental underlying challenges? How can we get more teachers into classrooms? How can we make sure that technology can support teaching more complex environments?
Yes.
How can we make sure that we use technology, some of the cutting edge technology that can really help that early stages of language learning and mathematical learning that put children in a really good place to the future? The last thing I'd like to say is how we need to think about teaching.
Yes.
And I think this is really important also for parents to be thinking about this.
Yes. This was my next question.
Yes.
Of course, parents, you need maybe parents and mothers to support this.
Yeah.
What do you want from parents?
I think the first thing to be thinking about is the kind of education that we want children to have. It's probably quite a different education to what we had when we were, I'm a parent of 3 kids, all under 10. It's going to be a different education. We want them to have an education when they are in control of their own learning, when they are making decisions about where they do their research, because we know that children have the world's knowledge at a press of a button. So we want to empower them. We want to help them think about that knowledge, how to be critical about understanding it, how to bring it together. Now, that's a different dynamic. This is not a dynamic whereby the teacher is the all-knowledgeable controller of the classroom. We need to, as parents, encourage our teachers to be that facilitator, to support a collaborative, caring, and inquisitive classroom. And I think parents have a huge role to play in that, to be able to encourage their kids to be questioning, encourage their kids to be constantly looking for information and finding out new things, because those are the encourage our kids to work with other kids to find solutions, because those are going to be the bedrock skills.
And to ask questions all the time and look for the answers. Yeah. Thank you so much for this interview, and welcome in Egypt, of course, and have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
قبل ما ناخدكم بقى في تفاصيل اكتر عن ورشه العمل بتاعت النهارده، احنا محتاجين نفهم مين هنا موجود، مين اللي منظم ورشه العمل، ليه اسمها Digital Transformation Collaborative او التحول الرقمي التشاركي، ليه كل ده؟ خلينا نعرف من ضيفه عزيزه علينا من اليونسكو. هي اليونسكو طبعا هي المسؤوله عن تنظيم هذه الورش، وهي اللي عامله لها اطر ومعايير معينه هي اللي بتخلي ورشه العمل تمشي يمكن بنظام معين. خلينا نرحب بجولييت نورمان سميث، اخصائيه سياسات تعليميه باليونسكو. Hello, Julie.
Hello, thank you so much.
Thank you for coming and being with us today in Group الماميز show. We need to understand what is this workshop is all about. What does it mean, Digital Transformation Collaborative?
Absolutely. It's a great question because it is the title of today's workshop and the reason why all of these partners are here in Cairo. The story for the Digital Transformation Collaborative really started just over a year ago. The Transforming Education Summit in 2022 happened in New York in September. And it was a big meeting of the education minds of the world from really all countries to come together and say, look, there are many problems and challenges facing the education sector today, and we need to work together to solve them. And digital learning was a track of that education summit. And so from that specific track in the education summit, the idea was born for the Digital Transformation Collaborative, which is basically this acknowledgement that partnership is at the core of making progress in digital transformation at the system level in the education sector. So UNESCO launched in 2020 during COVID school closures, a coalition of now over 200 partners who came together to support continuity of learning throughout school closures. A subgroup of those partners have kept working on that digital key, that digital transformation element beyond the pandemic. That's the Digital Transformation Collaborative.
Yes.
And the idea is that
those countries was Egypt.
So partners first were working together on this project. We hadn't talked to the countries yet.
Okay.
So basically, digital transformation is relevant everywhere. In every context in the world, it's relevant. But we know that countries are at different sort of stages of maturity and readiness for digital transformation and the use of digital technology in their education systems. And so the purpose of this group to gather together was to say, what are the sort of key areas that are necessary to make a whole system of education integrate digital technology ethically, sustainably, with inclusion at the forefront? And in order to do that, we had to make a framework. We had to make a sort of conceptual understanding of what are we talking about when we're talking about digital transformation.
Yes, exactly. So what is it?
Yeah, exactly. So it's called the 5 C's.
Yeah.
And
we've heard this today a lot.
Exactly.
And we've seen them, but I want you to maybe emphasize more on.
Yeah, and where it came from, really. So I said this morning, but the Digital Transformation Collaborative is made up of a number of different types of partners. We have private sector partners in there. We have international organizations like UNICEF, UNESCO in there. But then there's also NGOs, there's also funds and foundations. And so all of those types of partners might have a different blueprint or a different way of thinking about what digital transformation is. So we all got around a table, a virtual table, let's say, and for weeks sort of ironed out the specific elements that are necessary for a digital transformation plan.
Okay, the 5
and there are
C's.
5. Yeah, 5 C's plus data.
Okay,
So
yes.
6 dimensions, 5 C's. We start with coordination and leadership. That's really about the vision, the governance. That's the sort of centralized thinking and strategic planning for digital technology and education. Then we go to cost and sustainability. You can have a plan, but you need to be able to budget that plan.
Yes.
That's often really hard for every type of country, even if it's a wealthy country. These transformation processes are really expensive.
Yes.
And so to have a sustainable budget is an issue and one that deserves its own sort of focus area of attention. How do we financially engineer the various models and funding mechanisms that exist and apply it to sustainable use of digital technology in education? Then we go around to connectivity and infrastructure, which is sort of the foundation, let's say, or the backbone of any digital transformation strategy. You need high-speed, high-quality Wi-Fi. You need electricity.
Yes.
You need the hardware and the software, the devices. You need the learning spaces that support those devices.
Yes.
Then moving around, we go to capacity and culture, which I think is one of the ones I'm most interested in. I used to be a teacher, and so I know how important it is to be able to feel empowered to use your technology and not have it overpower you and tell you what to do as a teacher. So capacity and culture is all about supporting the digital competencies and skills of not only teachers, but students and school leaders and the wider community and policymakers themselves.
Yeah.
And then the final component is content and curriculum. So that's everything that you would think of when you think of digital platforms. So high quality, interactive, engaging, multilingual content available at any time, anywhere is our sort of criteria for content.
During today's workshop, I've heard that phrase also being said, is that Egypt is the first pilot.
Yes.
How is that?
Yes. So there was a long multi-step process that the DTC partners created. It's a 5-step process that essentially had different levels of criteria that we kind of put a number of different countries through.
Okay.
And Egypt came out at the end of that funnel of criteria as one of the top 3 countries that would be a potentially successful DTC partner. And Egypt has absolutely shown that they want to engage and that they believe in this idea of collaboration being at the core of digital transformation. And so it's been so exciting to see this first pilot excel like this and really come to life.
Yes, sure. During the workshop, you were one in a group that are answering this huge questionnaire of 60 questions.
Yes.
And now I know why there's 60 questions, because we have 5 C's and then the data.
Yes, exactly.
Each one of these have 10 questions that are being asked upon. What did you find out between your colleagues in the group?
Absolutely. So I was in the cost and sustainability C, supporting another UNESCO colleague, my chief of section, Guang Chol-chan, who's also been moderating today's run of show. We found that I think data is an issue just because when you're talking about something like costing and budgeting, it's important to have the precise statistical figures of what is allotted where. And there was disagreement at the table. So I think that's one area that hopefully through DTC conversations, we can shed some light on what funding is actually available and for what and at what time span. So that was a really interesting area. Another was actually that in the sort of financial plans, perhaps not much attention yet has been directed in terms of investments into capacity building. And so as I was just saying, digital transformation is all about the people. So that's an area that perhaps when we're talking about what needs to be prioritized later, that's maybe something that will come out of the conversation. We'll see. But obviously we all kind of agree that digital skills are important today.
Yes.
So perhaps that will come across to all of the groups as an area of investment.
Yes, hopefully. You live in Paris, but you're an American and Finnish at the same time.
Yes.
And we're all the time we're talking in group of mommies that Finland is one of the best education systems in the world. And now you're here in Egypt and you have your input in the education system. How do you evaluate the education system in Egypt? How far are we going?
I think so I studied comparative and international education. That was my sort of background research-wise. And it's always very difficult to compare contexts. I will say one of my favorite quotes by Joseph Sadler, who's a sort of founder of the idea of comparative education. And he said, you can't wander into another man's garden, pick a leaf off of one tree and a petal off of one flower, and go back to your garden, plant them, and expect them to grow. So I think I always try to urge caution around
this is so well stated.
Yeah, it's a lovely quote.
Yes.
But I think it's very illustrative of the danger of saying, look what Finland does, Egypt should do it too, because Finland is a country of about 5 million people.
Yes.
And it's an incredibly different context, socially, politically, than we have in Egypt. So I think one of the benefits of having this workshop and having it here and having so many partners that are global representatives come here on the ground is to talk to the local partners and to see what actually could be helpful and relevant here, because it might not be what we've learned from Finland.
Yes.
But I think that we've seen today amazing presentations of the vision that the Ministry of Education and Technical Education has for digital transformation in education. And so that's really promising, and we're excited to see sort of how this vision can transpire and be realized.
Yes, all the presentations were very good. We liked your presentation too.
Thank you.
And I won't keep you long because I know you have a lot of things to do. You were over here and there, everywhere. We were trying to pick her and get her. She was eating the koshari for the first time of her life. I hope you liked it.
It was delicious. It was delicious. A combination of rice, macaroni, lentils. I was like, I have to try
Yes,
this.
yes.
Yeah.
So you have the stamp now. You're Egyptian. You do it.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to have you on our show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor. Thank you.
شوف الحلقة كاملة من خلال تطبيق مدرستنا بلس. مدرستنا مستقبل يبدأ الآن.